We are digging even further this week and talking about toe stands and being on point. I grouped these two together because many aspects are the same. Throughout this week, we're going to be talking about training your toes and feet. We're going to talk about your ankles, even more about your body alignment because it never stops. We're going to talk about things that we look for before you even go on your toes, be it for toe stands or point work. And we're going to talk about returning post injury in regards to doing this specific aspect of dance. And we'll close out the week talking about demi point, which leads us up to point work.
I've already placed my tap shoes on, but to talk a little bit about toe stands when you're in tap. There are many options for tap shoes, but when you go to work on toe stands, you're able to do them in flats predominantly. I really enjoy having a split sole for my tap shoes, so that way I can have a much more prominent arch. With these, there's already a pad that is part of the shoe. It allows my foot to have a bit more support when I do my toe stands. You'll see that my tap is a little bit rubbed off at the end. I'm actually going to have a video later on in the year about how to take care of your shoes, because things like this happen with wear and tear. But you'll find that that is also where you do your toe stands, is on the tip. When you strike the tap, you'll be hitting the very edge of your tap. To use another example for a shoe, there are jazz sneakers or hip hop shoes, and again, I have a split sole version that has a rubberized tip at the end, so when you stand on that, you stand on that very end of the shoe. For the point work aspect of things, I'm only wearing a gel pad today, so I would have that on, and I'm going to toss my shoe. I like to tuck my ribbons in towards my pinky toes because I personally hate feeling elastics over the knuckles of my toes. I don't know how some people do it, but it's not my thing. So I bundle all of the elastics together. I lift the side of the shoe and I tuck it in. Because we never want to see those bunny ears. I tie the ribbon. So the side that is on the inside of my arch, the ribbon crosses over the top of my foot and pulls around the back. This should sit nice and flat. The other side crosses over the top of the foot, tucks in behind, pulls back around, and I like to tuck mine under so I can fully hide my ribbons. From there, you tie it, and you knot it, but here's the kicker. You want to make sure that when you go to move your foot, you are not impinging on your Achilles. You do have to give yourself a little bit of slack, and nowadays they actually have elastic type ribbons. I'm not 100% keen on them because I've seen some dancers have a hard time. They'll tighten them so tight that they actually get weird bulges in their feet. And so I'm a little old school in those regards, and I prefer to have the solid satin that matches the shoes, but to each their own and whatever your instructor prefers. At any rate, we tighten that knot and we have to hide it. We should never see the knots when we are done. Everything should be well concealed and all blended together. So you shouldn't have any strings hanging out, any weird places. And everything should stay flat. Now, I've purposely got one of each shoe on because I want you to see the difference in each side. So point work entails being able to go from your flat foot all the way up to the top. Now, when you do this, you go to the flat part of that box. If you're rocked back at all, which is often the case if dancers are not fully strong enough or flexible enough or lengthening through their toes, sometimes we have a softness that happens, we'll rock backwards. That's not okay. In fact, that should have been taken care of before you're even in your point shoes. You should have enough flexibility in your foot to be able to go all the way to the top of that box. With that, some dancers roll too far forward, in which case then you're cinching and usually clenching here, and now you're likely to topple over the other direction. Everything should stay in alignment. That heel needs to be pressed forward. In this point, because you're turned out, you should not be tilting sideways, in which case you would be sickling. Opposite of that would be pronating and rocking inside, and that creates really wonky looking lines, and that's not cool. You cannot balance like that. Your point shoe should be nice and flat on that floor. Your tap is the same. You don't want to be sickled, you don't want to be pronated. That should go to the top of your toe. So you should be able to hear that toe hit. To give a side view, it would be here. Again, you do not want to be scrunching. Your toes need to be nice and lengthened in there. I'm not using a bar for today's example because I want you to see the two feet and how they're working respectively, be it for the point or for tap. But when you're first training, you're going to spend a lot of time at the bar again. And they're all just practicing different ways of getting up to the top of your toes. You have to train your toes and your feet. So when you finally are up on point, you are now working that last little bit of the ball of the foot to the toe. So now you should be able to rise straight up and back down.
I will see you tomorrow as we talk about training your toes and feet. I will see you then.